You sound good.
Yeah, you sound good. You sound damn good.
Ooh. I hope the being too quiet is not my doing, because my audio setup has changed slightly since last time we recorded.
I'm in the same boat.
Oh, okay.
To much bigger degree, almost definitely.
Okay, well, tell me about your setup.
I'm recording on a PC, not on a Mac.
What?
I know. But it's a topic. It's a topic. We'll get to it.
Okay. All right. My change is very small, so I can tell you mine really quick. I have a mute switch installed in line between my microphone and my audio interface. So now if I need to cough, I can just press a button.
Perfect. Thank you. That'll save me minutes in editing.
I've been hesitant to pick one up because I've seen them online, and in theory they should be really simple. They just need to disconnect. I don't even know if you need to be all of them or just a single wire in the XLR connection, basically. But they're on the pricier side than you'd expect for just a button, basically. And I was worried that they weren't going to be perfect. And every time I pressed the button, you're going to hear like a little crinkly noise as it was connecting and disconnecting. And I thought that would be worse than just coughing.
It would be far worse.
But I did pull the trigger, and it is perfect. You can't hear a thing.
So you've already done some tests with it then?
Yeah. Check it out. Isn't that cool?
Yep. Well, I don't know what your recording sounds like, but it sounds fine at my end.
Okay. Well, I imagine you hear about the same thing that gets recorded. It's all the same input.
Okay. Yeah, probably.
So, the only thing I thought would be a little questionable is it's like a foot pedal switch for people, like stage singers, so they can step on it really quickly if they need to mute.
Right.
So it's a little big and a little clicky. Like it's got an audible click to it, but it seems to even mute its own click noise. So it works good.
Brilliant. Yeah, you'd want that.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. I think my bass volume level in the room has just increased slightly with the addition of a computer.
Oh, okay. Just lots of ambient fan noise to power those big Intel processors.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah. AMD in this case, though, but a GPU as well, okay, with a couple of fat fans on it. And I actually unplugged all the case fans because, gosh, they were a whole nother level of noisiness. They'll have to be replaced. Anyway, it's a topic.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to it. To it. So,
yeah.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just going to say that I almost forgot who you were. It's been so long since we've spoken.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, it's crazy. It felt weird. It felt really weird. I had things like, I can tell David about that in 3 weeks, I guess, or David would. I told David about that 4 weeks ago. What? Yeah. It was a strange feeling.
And then the night of last night arrived, and I was like, oh, I've got the podcast in the morning, or do I? It's been a month now. Maybe James decided he doesn't want to do the podcast anymore. Is he even going to be here? So much can change in a month.
So much has changed in a month. That's what's crazy. So much has changed.
You know what is equally crazy for the amount it hasn't changed in the last month? Apple News.
There's been none. Oh, well, there's been
right.
one piece of Apple News. the new data protections, but that's the only hyperlink we've got under topics today.
We'll really have to wing it today.
We will. But I actually have some big news, and it kind of follows on from what you just said about not doing the podcast. I think we are going to need to have a big break next year, like a year and a half, because I'm having another baby. And yes, quite unexpectedly.
Congratulations.
So a lot has changed since we last spoke. Yes, Yasmin is pregnant. Yes, and I'm not sure how we're going to record the podcast with 3 young kids in the house. So until they're sleeping through the night, I think we'll have to take a break.
Well, do what you need to do. I'm going to miss our chats, but I hope you keep me updated through iMessage at least on the goings on with 3 kids in the house.
I mean, no doubt, I'll have to.
Okay.
Who else am I going to give all my weird, like, sore Apple Watch wrist news updates to?
When is Yasmin due?
In June next year.
In June. Okay.
Obviously next year. Yeah, June, so. And we don't know the gender or anything yet. So still early-ish on. Yeah.
That's very exciting.
A little bit of trepidation, but yeah, also excitement. Hoping for a girl. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 is okay. I think I may have told you this before. I have a friend with 7 kids. I suppose friend isn't the right way to word this anymore. I've told this story to a lot of people a lot of times, and I've always started with friend, but he's an ex-coworker who I haven't spoken to in many years, so probably not friend anymore. I have an ex-coworker who I haven't spoken to in many years with 7 kids, and he says once you get past 2, it doesn't get any harder because they start entertaining each other, so it doesn't actually add too much extra load to yourself.
That's definitely the spirit of some advice I've received, but it's always been, so far, it doesn't get any harder after 3. So 3 is the hardest not to.
Okay. I mean, you come from a big family, right, James?
I am one of 7, yeah.
Yeah. So you know the expectations of going into having a lot of siblings around.
Yeah, I can't attest to the difficulty of parenting 7, though. I can definitely say I made it difficult.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I've got 6 months of you, right?
6 months.
At least? Okay. We'll make the most of it.
We will.
We have a big anniversary coming up, actually.
The big 5?
5 years.
The big 5 doesn't sound right. It needs to be like the big 5. Oh, the big 5. We sound like a trucking company conglomerate or something.
The big 5, yeah. Let's see, what... You know how anniversaries have, like, materials associated with them?
5's going to be nothing. It's going to be like dust.
5 is the wood anniversary.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Wood doesn't really fit the theme of our podcast, but okay.
I don't know. I get... No. Yeah. No. It doesn't, does it?
Yeah.
We can make it work.
This podcast is it's an aphrodisiac. We have this podcast to blame for the new kid on the way.
Do some special cover art, a bit of wood grain in the blue.
Oh, yeah. Blue wood. So,
what is the actual number or date? It's not going to be... when did we start?
well, you reached out on Reddit in December. So we got connected at that point, and we recorded our first episode like the very beginning of January. Like, I want to say it was like the 2nd or something. Let me go back to it.
I'm doing it. 8th of January.
It was published on January 8th, yeah.
Giveaway, maybe?
Does Apple have anything good to give away these days?
I might get some dodgy Christmas presents we could give away.
There you go, yeah. I got the perfect thing I can give away. So I got my new iPad Pro a few weeks ago. Have you ever heard of the website woot.com?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Woot.com was having a sale on the official like Apple smart cases for the iPad Pros. Usually $80 cases. They were selling them for $11.
Oof.
So I ordered one, and they sent me two.
But don't you already have a case though? The Logitech?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I do.
So you got 3
I like
cases.
the Logitech. Yeah, I like the Logitech case as a keyboard case, but it's bulky, so I kind of wanted something that's smaller to travel with.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Could be part of the giveaway.
Yeah, we did it. We did a HomePod last time.
It was a HomePod last time.
Yeah, we said a HomePod Mini.
Ah, right.
Was the last thing we gave away on our. I think it was 3 years because on our 4-year anniversary we did the 100 episode thing.
I think you funded the HomePod Mini in its entirety, so I think it's actually on me to fund something this time. So, you can probably keep hold of your keyboard case if you want to. Your triplicate.
All right. Well, if James is funding it, then everyone gets a Mac Pro this year.
Okay. All right. It's a 2006 Mac Pro. Still runs.
Hey, that's a really intelligent year to choose for the Mac Pro. I think that was the first year of the Mac Pro.
Really? Okay. It was a fluke. Definitely a fluke. Mr. Apple history buff.
Because that was right when the Intel switch happened.
Oh, right. And there were just Power Macs before that.
We can figure that out on the fly, I suppose.
Oh, right. Because
What
we're
we
not going to
wanna
be
give
recording between now and then.
Oh, wait a minute. If we're doing a giveaway, people have to enter for the giveaway. So we have to know now to tell them to enter.
We could just say it's going to be something good and Apple related.
Okay. Yeah, good Apple related thing. Are we doing the regular entry procedures?
Yeah, an entry on Twitter, entry on Reddit. Was there a third? Do we have a third avenue?
I don't think we had a third avenue, unless I was going to say podcast reviews, but there's not really a good way to tie that back to a person.
Oh, I've got a good one. Leave us
okay.
an Anchor voice message. That'll get you 3 entries.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say, I think in the past we've done Twitter was 1 and Reddit, like subscribing and commenting on our show notes in Reddit was 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we do Anchors 3.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. So there's potential for lots of entries.
What about a pack of 3 AirTags?
Yeah, that's those are pretty useful.
I think that's the same value as a HomePod Mini as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. we'll put it as that at that, unless we think of something better. But that sounds good. Hopefully tempts people into entering and sending us voice messages.
Enter for a chance to win a prize of AirTags value or better.
Yeah.
All right.
So back to your iPad case.
Uh-huh.
So you got the Logitech combo case for your iPad Pro, and then I kind of complained live that it had a plus and minus where the volume buttons were, which didn't make sense because the orientation of the volume buttons would change, or the layout would change depending on the orientation of the iPad. And I was just basing that off some like stock images I found on Logitech's website, but I suppose that was for a different, or the older Logitech combo case, because yours doesn't have the plus and minus button.
Yep, it just has some very plain capsule shapes where the buttons should be.
Perfect.
Yeah. So they did think about it, which is surprising because my case is technically not the case for my iPad. It's for the previous generation iPad Pro, which I guess maybe it also had that feature. But what I'm saying is the case that I bought was made well over a year ago, so they very easily could have not been aware at that time.
Okay. Yeah, and I saw the combo case the very next day, I think it was, after we recorded. My brother-in-law had one on his iPad, and it did have the plus and minus etchings on the volume buttons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know how far his iPad goes back, but he's typically got pretty new stuff, so... Yeah. Maybe 1-year-old's fine, and 2 years and prior it's got them.
I'm curious what you have to say about this MacRumors tip. I don't even know what it means.
I barely remember it now. So we were going through 12 time-saving tips from MacRumors last show, and I skipped over tip number 10 because I thought it was just so stupid a tip, wasn't worth mentioning. But then we had to revisit it, and we actually spent longer on it if I hadn't skipped it. And then the very next day, I was like, hey, that could actually be quite useful. And I implemented tip number 10, which was to create a shortcut which makes a jump to this person. Was it a speed dial like home screen icon with a photo of that person, and it would just initiate a phone call to them. And I actually set one up for Yasmin. So of all the tips in this article, the one I scoffed at and skipped over was the only one I ended up using.
So
yeah.
This shortcut, it calls her immediately, or how does it behave differently than like the contact widget?
I don't even know anymore. It was so long ago, and I did delete it a few days afterwards. So
okay.
That kind of ruins the story, I guess.
So it's at least smaller. Even if it's exact same behavior, you can't get widgets to be one by one, so
no,
it saves you space on your home screen.
Right. And it was nice just having a picture of a picture icon of Yasmin on the home screen all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should make all your icons pictures of Yasmin. You can take a picture of her opening the mail, and you can make that your mail icon. And a picture of like her out on the beach, and that can be like your weather icon. And
I don't think she would find that endearing. She'd think I'd turned into like some psycho serial killer.
You could do the thing where people would download app icons whose entire icon was just like a letter. Like the Yahoo app is a Y, and the AOL app is an A. You could spell out Yasmin on your home screen.
Yep, I could do.
Yep.
That was like iPhone OS 1 days, wasn't it? Or 2.
Yeah, that was definitely popular early on in the App Store.
Yeah, very early. Yasmin with a J, by the way, not a Y. A little trickier to find.
Oh, yeah. You're right. feel like there was a J app.
One with a J icon?
Early on, it seemed like there was one for every letter. But maybe not anymore.
So you had tried on a trail loop in store last time we spoke about it?
It's distant memory. I vaguely recollect. Mm-hmm.
Do you actually own it, though, or you just tried it?
No, I just tried it in the store. I did not purchase one at that time.
Okay. But you did a test to its comfort and thought it might perhaps even alleviate some of the wrist pain problems I was having with my Apple Watch. So I did, in fact, order a trail loop. And I can confirm it is the most comfortable Apple Watch strap I've ever used. And I've used like nearly all types of it. In fact, it was so comfortable that I wasn't sure if the discomfort in my wrist was like just in my head or if it was actually there. That's how comfortable it was. So at that time, I thought, this is good enough. I'm back to being like an Apple Watch person. So, I started leaving the house without my phone and like using my Apple Watch to its absolute limits, being a Series 3, of course. But then it all came tumbling down when a few days later I was just out and about doing, normal day-to-day things, and I got back and I found that my watch had missed all these important messages that had come through to my phone, and this is a WatchOS bug that has existed since like day one of the cellular Apple Watch, and it's still not fixed, and it's not a Series 3 issue because I've heard lots of other complaints of people with brand new watches that do the same thing, and I just was so angry, mostly because of what I'd missed, that I unpaired the watch and I returned the strap, and I have not put it on since. So I'm pretty sure Apple Watch is out of my life for the time being.
You're dead to me.
That's what it was like. I was so happy.
Like just regular text messages, or what kind of messages were you missing?
Just iMessages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you gave up on all the other things the watch does.
If it can't get the basics right, it's just, other stuff I'm prepared to like fight with a little bit just so I don't have to take my phone everywhere. But there's typically a workaround, or it's not that critical, or I can wait till I'm home. But if I'm out and I'm out for like 5 hours, I don't want to always have this thing at the back of my head going, is someone trying to get hold of me? Did someone send me a message? Like, am I expected to be at this place in 10 minutes? That's always going to be at the back of my head while this bug exists on the Apple Watch.
Right. But an Apple Watch isn't a product that you have to use on its own or not at all. You can carry your iPhone and still wear the Apple Watch.
Yeah, but my biggest reason for loving the Apple Watch was that I didn't have to have the phone with me. If I do have to have the phone with me, like all my love for the Apple Watch is basically gone.
Think of it as a return to tradition. You get to enjoy the freedom of the generations that came before us, of when they stepped out of the house, they were just unreachable until they got back home.
Yeah. Tell that to the kids' school.
Is that what you missed?
No, I think it was my sister. I can't even remember what it was anymore, so it can't have been that important. But at the time it was.
Okay. And you said this is a long-running issue of just the Apple Watch not receiving iMessages?
This is a very long-running issue, yeah. So Yeah, I experienced it as soon as I got a cellular Apple Watch and was starting to roam about, or roam is a bad word to use in this context, but to move about phoneless and on cell reception only.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just don't come through. You don't notice it, of course, because there's nothing to not notice, but then you get home and you see all the messages on your phone, and I don't think those messages ever like sync to the watch in this case either. They're just like phone only messages.
And I assume it's just like a random assortment of messages, and it's not every iMessage you're missing, because I know iMessage works in some capacity.
Tricky to say. I would say if like all messages during that specific period that I was out and the bug was existing, none of I would not get like all those messages. It wouldn't be like I'll get a message from this person but not from this person. It'd be like that 4-hour period where I left the phone and then come back to the phone. Nothing would arrive in that amount of time.
Interesting.
Hmm.
That seems like a pretty big bug. I'm surprised that wouldn't have been fixed in the last many years, 6 years.
Yeah, a long time. That's what makes it so annoying. I think it's because it rears its head so infrequently. It would be so hard to track down a report because it would be maybe months between it happening. This isn't like an every week thing that I've experienced it at least. But it only needs to happen like once a quarter, and then every time I'm out and haven't had a message for a few minutes, Mr. Popular, for a few hours, I'd be wondering.
I wonder if watches set up with the family setup fare better or worse in these situations. Like watches that don't have a home iPhone they're paired with, and they're set up entirely separately, and they're not trying to toggle some state between receiving forwarded messages and receiving them directly. If
actually
it's
have
that switch that causes the issue.
I actually have a point of reference, if that's the term, for exactly that scenario. If you've listened to the ATP podcast for long enough, I've definitely heard Marco complain about his child having cell issues on a family setup Apple Watch, like a standalone Apple Watch.
Mm-hmm. Cell issues as in reception issues?
As in, sometimes it just doesn't work, that sort of problem. I'm not sure if they're specifically message related or what, but yeah, definitely along the lines of sometimes just randomly out of the blue, no apparent cause, it just doesn't work.
I don't know Marco's kids. I assume they're better kids than I was. But if I was a child with an Apple Watch, I could 100% see myself deleting text messages from time to time and going, "Oh, I didn't get your message. That's why I didn't come home."
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
good point.
very much the kid who's like, my parents would give me a time to be home by, and I would come home late, but I'd set my watch to the correct time and be like, I thought I was on time according to my watch.
You sneaky bugger. I was the complete
I never
opposite.
flew. They definitely, I still got in trouble.
I don't think there was a period of time where my parents didn't know where I was until I was like 18.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you never got on a bike and just rode around town with your friends for a day or something?
Not for a day. Like, I ride around the suburb with friends, but yeah, I guess, my parents didn't know where I was, but I wouldn't have been more than, 20-minute bike ride away.
So you were, what is that? Helicopter parents. And they had to helicopter 7 kids?
No, you can't be, yeah. You need to be like a Chinook.
I have no idea what that means.
Just look it up. Google image search. Chinook.
Chinook?
CHI.
Oh, it's a helicopter.
It's a massive helicopter that carries like tons of people.
All right.
You could be a Chinook parent with 7. You'd have to be.
I confused Chinook with chook. It's an Australian phrase which I've definitely heard. Dirty chook.
Dirty chook. I don't even know what that means. You dirty chook. It sounds like an insult, though.
I've just heard it on Bluey. That's my most exposure to Australian culture.
The kids game made you look, you dirty chook.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a very, very mild insult then.
Okay. If I look it up on Urban Dictionary, it says dirty chook is fried chicken.
Yeah, I think dirty chook used by someone in teens or 20s might also be referring to KFC or like what are the other fried chicken brands?
That's hilarious. Want to go get some dirty chook? Oh, man. Elizabeth can never remember Australia, like the word Australia. Mm-hmm. So when she wants to talk about Australia, which she does a lot, she really wants to go to Australia. She says, I want to go to the place where they call flip-flops thongs.
I'll take it. As good a name as any.
Uh-huh.
Classic. What's so difficult to remember Australia, though?
I don't know.
Teach us
I tell her every time.
Yeah.
Australia.
Yeah, just Australia. No worries about it. Don't worry about the Oz.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But she's got a very idealized version of Australia in her head, I guess, from all the Bluey. She's like, this place must be magical.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's where adults will drop everything and pretend magic is real every time a kid points a stick at them, and there's ice cream on every corner, and
yeah, true.
Yeah. So she's very excited about Australia.
You could go with Down Under. That's much easier to remember than Australia.
Let's go down under.
Yeah, the land down under.
Well, on the topic of Apple Watches, I wanted to just tie a bow on my Express replacement story on my Series 5 from Apple. Because I think where we left off, I had already sent my previous one back. Or no, I was still waiting because my delivery got delayed on the new one. I received the new one. It looks great. It works great. I got it set up. I just put my old Apple Watch in the same box and shipped it off. I had some concern that I was going to get pushback. They're going to try to charge me because they were going to accuse me of damaging the Apple Watch or something like they did with my iPhone 10, I think, was the last time I sent in not a replacement, but a trade-in. But they did not. It went back. I got an email saying, thanks for sending your watch back. And the hold on my card fell off, so they never charged me.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So all in all, a really good experience. And now I have a brand new Apple Watch, and all I had to do was pay Apple Care Plus for 3 years.
So did you pay on a monthly basis for 3 years?
Yeah. So for things like I feel like monthly is the way to go for everything I own, because things like my iPhone, which I only own for a year at a time, paying monthly for 1 year is less than paying the 2 years up front. So that's the way to go with iPhones. And then for things I own longer, like Apple Watches, paying monthly is the only way to extend AppleCare Plus longer than 2 years. So I would not have had coverage anymore if I had not been paying monthly.
Yeah, I've wondered that. Like, yeah, what happens after the 2 years if you're paying monthly? But it does indeed just continue as long as you keep paying monthly. That is quite good.
Yeah, so I think that's the way to go with pretty much everything, unless you have a product you know you're going to own for 2 years somehow. And then it is slightly cheaper to pay up front.
I think the iPhone 12 mini that I bought and put AppleCare on and then cancelled the AppleCare and then smashed. I think that was the last thing I didn't put AppleCare on when I bought it. So the iPad Air has got AppleCare monthly, and my AirPods, I wasn't sure if monthly was an option, because I remember paying just like $40 or something for that. That certainly wouldn't have been a monthly fee.
Oh, yeah, it may not have been.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure if monthly
I feel like 2 years is enough for AirPods, though. Your batteries will be worn out by then.
Yeah. Well, do I have a story for you?
Okay.
Yeah, these AirPods I've only had... Well, I only bought them this year. I'm not sure which month, but they weren't very old. But I guess roughly 4 weeks ago now, I started getting complaints from people on phone calls that I sounded distant. And I tested out the AirPod microphones, and indeed the left mic had died, or was dying, because I sounded like I was talking from a few rooms away.
Mm-hmm.
First, I was a bit surprised because I thought AirPods always preferred the right microphone when you had both in, but for some reason mine were using the left.
I think there's a toggle in settings for it to like intelligently switch, or you can choose which one for it to prefer.
Yeah, I would leave mine on automatic, and then I thought it would use right. Because on the very first AirPods I ever had, I remember the right battery hit like 20% health way before the left battery, because it was always using that right microphone. Maybe they've made it like balance out the microphone so it switches between them just to keep the battery drain consistent on the battery lifespan. Something like that. But anyway, I thought instead of taking them into Apple, because I had Apple Care on these, I would just try and get an express replacement with the online chat support. But for some reason, they were just like, no, there's no express replacement for these, but you can just post them in. And because I'd already spent 2 hours to get to this point with the Apple support, I thought, well, I may as well just post them in at this point. So I printed out the return label, and it had very specific instructions. Take this label and take the AirPods to your nearest post office, and they will do the rest. And anyway, this is quite a story, by the way. That's part 1 of like 6.
All right, let me get some popcorn.
Yeah. So I've got one set of AirPods, maybe 6 months old, queued up, ready to go with the label, ready to take to the post office. And then Yasmin cottons on to what I'm doing, and she's like, yeah, my microphones don't really work either. People always say I sound a long way away, or they just cut out. So I did a little test with her microphones as well. And I think both her microphones were basically useless. But her AirPods were way older. But I did remember, I think they were like 3 or 4 years old, but I do remember that early on in their life, I had done a repair for a similar issue. I'd actually gone into the Apple store for a microphone issue. So I tracked that back, and it was something like January 2021, I guess. And so because of Australian consumer law, if you get any repair, then it like resets the manufacturer's warranty on them. So I got on the support chat, and they kind of were pretty tentative about fixing these or replacing these ancient AirPods. But as soon as I mentioned consumer law, they were like, "Oh, let's elevate this request." And I'm sorry, the support chat doesn't work anymore. We'll have to get someone to, or not. Sorry, not that it doesn't work anymore. The support chat's not sufficient for this level of request. We'll get someone to call you back immediately. And then someone called me back, and then they escalated it to someone else. And I wasn't like arguing or doing anything more at this point. I was just waiting for all the escalations to finish, and then finally someone was like, "Yes, we can replace those for you." So I got another email with a little return label to print and cut out and take to the nearest post office, again with very explicit instructions on what to do. So I trundled off to the post office. Everything went well. Got both these sets of AirPods posted off. A few weird looks from the Australia Post lady, because who would send off 2 sets of AirPods at the same time? But then the next day, I received 2 emails from Apple saying, "We have sent you an empty box to return your product in." I thought, what is this about? So I went back and read the emails they'd sent me the day prior. There was no confusion about what I was supposed to do. It was very black and white. Print this out, go to the post office, post the AirPods. So that's kind of a dead end to this story, because the boxes never even turned up. But apparently 2 boxes were posted to me via a courier. But yeah, I even had tracking numbers and stuff for them, but they never arrived.
Oh.
So that was odd. But anyway, the end of this story, which has gone on far too long already, is that all happened on the 22nd of November. I got my AirPods back, both sets of them, 2 days ago. It was an exceptionally long wait without AirPods, especially considering one of them has Apple Care Plus on it. But it was kind of unbelievable that I had to sit around AirPodless. Kind of a first world problem, I suppose. But I thought the wait was ridiculous. I thought I'd be in for post it, a couple of days to Apple, a couple of days back to me. But in the end, it was just shy of a month turnaround on this repair. So I think next time I'll either have to insist on an express replacement service, or just take them into the store, which is only a mild inconvenience, I suppose. But yeah, prefer not to if I didn't have to.
Yeah, I think once you got to the point of having multiple AirPods to return and you were being escalated through multiple tiers of support, I would have given up and just walked into the store at that point, talked to a real person, have them solve my problem immediately.
Yeah, it was a case of, what do you call it when you over-invest in something?
Sunk cost?
Yeah, sunk cost fallacy, I suppose. There are already so many hours sunk into the support chat. I couldn't get out of it after that. Also didn't really want to go into the city, into the Apple store. But, yeah, in hindsight, probably should have.
How much of a trek is it for you to get from your home to an Apple store?
15 minutes.
Oh, that's not something to complain about.
Yeah, but it's bang in the middle of town, in the city CBD. So, you have to pay for parking and navigate all the traffic, and I don't know. I've just had so many bad experiences at this Apple store now. It used to be my holy grail, and then slowly over time, they'd forget I was sitting there, and I'd be sitting there 45 minutes with nothing, and they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, didn't see you sitting there. You're not on the list. What are you doing?" That sort of nonsense.
Really?
This is not a good Apple
store. They have the whole
store.
queue system. They should never forget about you.
I know. I mean, you walk to the front door, and someone's like, "Oh, I'm going to check you in. Go and sit at this seat. At this table." And then they write in their little iPad, dude wearing a blue T-shirt.
Yeah. Freaky looking guy. You can't miss him.
Yeah. Best to avoid. Have your lunch break now. Maybe that's what happened.
Maybe that guy who's been returning the same Apple Watch for 5 years.
I've got a better one. This is that guy that brought his 1-year-old into the Apple store in a pram and then filled the pram with vomit and then left angry because they wouldn't replace your butterfly keyboard.
Yeah, you have done your fair share of whinging in that store.
I have, yep. I should hit up the Apple store, which is far better than like a 30-minute drive.
Well, I have an update on my digital note-taking life. I had to give up on Freeform.
I'm not surprised.
I gave it a solid try, and it wasn't working for me. And I eventually decided to go another route, and I went a very blasphemous route. And I found a note-taking application for my iPad that I have been in love with the last couple weeks, and it is Microsoft OneNote.
I was just going to guess that. Ooh. Microsoft is really joining the podcast tonight. Just wait until I get started.
Oh, man. Yeah. First of all, OneNote fits my needs way better than Freeform does. I kind of tried to shoehorn daily note-taking into Freeform because I wanted to use the Apple app to solve my problem.
Yeah, of course.
But OneNote's organization of having several notebooks, and you can put tabs in them to have like different sections of the notebook. It's too good. It fits my needs way better. I love, first of all, that it runs on my work computer, which is a PC. So I can have my iPad on my desk next to me where I can quickly handwrite notes as I go. But if I want to type something, I can have it running on my PC as well and switch to typing immediately. And yeah, it just works. It's great. So Freeform has fallen off my radar entirely to the extent that I haven't even bothered to test it again since the official release a few days ago to see if it's more stable than it has been in all the beta testing.
Just a few offhand reports I've heard. It's still not 100%, but as long as I keep working on it, it might get there.
I think it may still have a place in my life. Like infinite whiteboard apps are something I use a lot for work. The main one I use is called Miro, but it's basically the same thing, the same set of features. So I could see myself using Freeform in those cases, but it's much more infrequently and not for daily notes like I was originally intending.
I was a little annoyed how the app icon was added to everyone's home screen with the update. I suppose that is normal behavior, though, for new default apps.
I saw on Reddit, maybe just yesterday, someone shared a screenshot from the Freeform page in the App Store of a review someone wrote. And it was like, this app must have gotten some kind of partnership with Apple because it showed up on my homepage without me installing it. And here it is. I'll share a link to this. Well, this is a no context, just a direct link to the image, but this is the review.
Shady marketing partnerships. Yes, deep within the company.
Mm-hmm. So it is very, it's a very niche application. It does seem like one of those things that could potentially just be on the App Store and not come pre-installed. I was going to say like iMovie and stuff, but I think that comes pre-installed on all phones now too. It used to be only if your phone was over a certain capacity, they'd pre-install all their apps, but I think they're all over that capacity these days.
Oh, interesting. I was never aware of that distinction.
Yeah, this is way early on. Like, I think if you had like a 16 gigabyte iPhone, it wouldn't come with iMovie, but if you had the 64 gigabyte one, it would. So I'm used to deleting a handful of Apple apps immediately after getting a phone. But I guess, in an extent, that is starting to be Apple's version of bloatware that comes on your phones.
Yeah. At least it's not like a third party's bloatware. That's when it's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like your phone doesn't come with Kaspersky antivirus. I can put up with first party bloatware, really. That's simple to delete.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really feel like bloatware. It more feels like they're just giving me something else for free.
Yeah, I really appreciate the free stocks app.
Well, some people do, though. Some people look at stocks.
Yeah. I feel like maybe as part of the setup process, when you're going through all those screens, they'd be like, you know, do you want any of these Apple apps? And you could choose the ones you want to have installed on your phone as part of setup, and the other ones would be, you know, maybe quietly deleted before you actually get to the home screen or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there are quite a few screens in the setup process already, though. So
yeah, and if such a screen existed, imagine the amount of yelling we would hear from like Spotify is like, it asks if you want Apple Music during setup, but it doesn't ask if you want Spotify during setup.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, maybe there's not a good solution to that.
How is OneNote and the Apple Pencil? Is it well integrated?
Yeah, I mean it works. I'm able to take notes and like switch between the pen and the eraser by double tapping. It doesn't have Apple Pencil hover
I was just gonna
support
ask.
yet.
Okay.
But that might be to my benefit because you know how I was complaining earlier about Apple Pencil hover seems to continue drawing just for the split second when you lift your pen. That doesn't happen in this note, at least.
Nice.
Or in this app. So yeah, it actually works really well. And I've been impressed how quickly it syncs. I can have the app open on my iPad and open on my computer in front of me. And I mean, there's a delay, but I can write things in the iPad and it shows up with relative speed on the computer, and vice versa. I can type on the computer and it shows up in the iPad really quickly.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like a good solution then.
Yeah. Yep. I'm way too invested in it now. I have way too many tabs and notebooks. I couldn't switch out of it now if I wanted to.
Already?
Yeah. I guess I can give you an update on this. I don't know how directly I mentioned it on the podcast, but I know if you were looking through my Freeform board that I shared with you, you would be aware of this, that I was applying for a promotion at work, and I got it. I'm a lead engineer now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I've got some direct reports that I meet with, and needed a lot more notebooks for keeping track of individual progress for each of them as well. So that's where OneNote's really shined for me, is being able to split all those notes up.
And according to that Freeform document, your salary is now...
you would know if you read it.
I didn't pry. I didn't go over those sections too closely.
Okay. So, anyway, yeah. So that's why I couldn't wait for Freeform to get better, though. I needed an immediate, how do I start taking better notes right now?
Yeah, and OneNote has been like a stalwart of the Office suite for quite a long time now, so you're going to bet it's quite mature.
Right. Yeah. Yep. It's good. The only thing that I've ran into so far that's been frustrating with OneNote is it's a very Microsoft problem. There's two versions of OneNote.
Oh,
there's like OneNote period, and there's OneNote for Windows 10.
Oh my god. And don't get me started on on that topic, man.
Yeah. I've defaulted to using OneNote, which comes with, I guess, Office 365, versus OneNote for Windows 10, which is like the free version that comes with Windows 10. Even though OneNote for Windows 10 seems to be the more up-to-date modern one they're working on, whose design is more in line with the apps. I started on the regular OneNote because I wasn't aware there was two initially, and so I've just kind of gotten used to it, so I'm sticking with that for now.
On this brand new Windows install that I've got here, there's like 2 Teams apps, there's 2 weather apps, there's like 3 different OneDrive apps. This is like a fresh install. I haven't done anything. It's ridiculous. Like, I typed Teams into the start menu and accidentally opened the wrong Teams app for the 100th time. God, it just drives you crazy.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Are you running Windows 11 or Windows 10?
11.
11. So it's got that like social bar at the bottom where you click. It's like Teams is built into the taskbar, right?
Yeah, that's gone now though.
Okay.
That's gone. That was the one that was driving me crazy because it was like Teams, but yeah, not the one I want.
Right. Yeah. I had my own adventure with Windows 11, but I guess I can tag that onto your PC talk, so we'll save that for a little later.
Yeah, sure.
In the spirit of iPad apps, basically, I am giving my daughter an iPad mini for Christmas. We've talked about that. In part of that theme for Christmas stuff, I have been looking for iPad accessories. Like I've preloaded it with a lot of apps and stuff, but I was looking for some physical things that could maybe be good companion gifts alongside an iPad. One of the things I found that I'm going with this year is it's a Sphero, those little like remote control balls that you can drive around with the iPad.
Oh yeah.
And it started with the theme of teaching programming. I was like, what kind of educational things can I do with this iPad? And the Sphero app, besides being a fun remote control thing, it also has like you can program go forward and then turn left and then go right and solve problems that way. So I thought that would be kind of a cool, fun educational toy.
The only ever what is it called, Today at Apple or whatever those at Apple classes that you do are called. Yeah, the only one I was involved with, I wasn't actually doing it myself, but I took one of my younger brothers there, was programming a Sphero on an iPad.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I also have only ever sat in on a programming class, but it was like the Swift Playgrounds class at Apple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, in that same theme, there's a very popular line of accessories called the Osmo. Have you seen those?
Osmo sounds like a DJI product. The Osmo, it's like a gimbal camera, I think.
You're right. It is.
Oh, okay.
That's not a... Well, you're right that is a thing that DJI makes, but this is a different Osmo.
Okay.
So it's basically just a stand that you set your iPad in, and then it's got this special mirror accessory you put over the top, and basically it reflects so that the front-facing camera is looking down at the surface of a table. And then it's got a bunch of physical accessories you can purchase to go along with it. Like there's a drawing pad where you can draw a picture, and that picture like comes to life and animates on the iPad.
Nice.
But there's also a programming one that I went with that it comes with lots of physical blocks that you can arrange. They have like different steps on them, so you can arrange them in a certain order to make different things happen in the game, I guess. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But kind of in the same vein as educational programming things. So yeah, those are I think the only 2 physical accessories to the iPad, but I thought they'd be fun to play with at least.
Yeah, I want to play with them.
Uh-huh.
Are these partly for you?
You hesitated. I mean, I definitely want to play with them. at some point when she has them out. Maybe the whole concept of like, I want my daughter to be interested in programming, like that mentality is for me, because it's what I do, and I think it would be fun to be able to teach her those things. But yeah, also the toys will be fun to play with.
Well, my younger brother, I'm not sure how much experience he had in programming or that before I took him to that class at Apple, but he's full on making like war games in Swift now. So it works.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how old's your brother?
He just turned 18. I think the last time we recorded, it was the day he turned 18, something like that.
Was he the one that you were buying the iPad for?
Yes, he was. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Okay. Very cool. So I happen to have a very ASMR video show up in my YouTube subscription feed the other day.
There wasn't a whole lot of stereotypical ASMR stuff in this video. Unless you're talking about a different video.
Yeah, just a random video showed up in my subscription. No. I mean, it was kind of in the theme that you were talking about last time about wanting to make that style of no talking, relaxing audio videos.
Yeah, this one wasn't exactly what I had in mind. I don't think it's exactly what I was talking about last time, because I wanted to make one that was very heavily focused on the photography part of a trip, or the photographing of something. But in this case, the family was along for the ride, so I just had to run and gun the photos and videos at the same time, and I wasn't setting up multiple tripods to video a photo being taken, because their patience would have run out very, very quickly. But I did put something together as just like a trial of what this could be, this style of video, and have a play with the different sort of grading, color grading sort of things that my camera puts out, and just warm up to what I envision as my actual content, ASMR content. Yeah, I had quite a lot of fun creating the whole thing, so I'm certainly planning on another one at this point, at least another one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching it for what it was, and for tagging along on your trip to Bunch of Letters Island.
Wajima.
Wajima. You found like this really cool section of beach where you had it like basically all to yourself.
It was incredible. Yeah. The whole island was like just blowing a gale. It was so windy. You probably heard it in the video. And that was after I chucked on like a really strong low frequency filter and done all sorts of wind suppression. It was so windy. And then we went to this one beach, and it was like people just getting blown off the beach. And then Yasmin was like, why don't we just try and walk around a bit further, past these impassable rocks. So we did it and found a little path, and it took us down to this completely wind-protected beach with nobody on it as far as the eye could see, and it was like a paradise on the island. So, yeah, that was quite the experience.
Yeah. So check it out, listeners. Watch James's YouTube video.
Yeah. I suppose at this point I'll have to put a link to it in the show notes.
Yep. Shameless self-promotion. That's fine.
That's it. That's what I'm about these days. Got to get the clicks.
You got another kid on the way. We need that extra AdSense.
Yeah. No other way I'm going to clothe and feed and put him through school. AdSense all the way.
All right. Well,
I really need a mute switch tonight.
a mute switch is so nice.
Yeah, how many times have you coughed and I've not heard it?
I haven't used it yet, but there's been plenty of times in the last 5 years that I wished it was there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad I bought it just in time for you to say you don't want to do the podcast anymore.
Dear. I hope it wasn't too expensive.
No, it was not too expensive.
All right, good.
I sent you a note about this a few weeks ago, but I guess I'll say it on the podcast for prosperity. Is that the word I'm trying to come up with?
Posterity, perhaps?
Posterity. There you go. I made it onto the Google Street View.
That's right.
Yeah. My office at home, my desk is right in front of a window facing out my front yard. So as I was working the other day, I saw the Google Street View car drive by my house, and I live on a cul-de-sac or dead end portion of road. So they got to go to the end of my road and turn around and drive back. So when I saw the Google Maps car drive by, I immediately ran out onto my porch and stood there so that I would be in the photo when they drove back the other direction. And to my surprise, it was like within 2 weeks, they had updated the Street View at my address. So now I'm standing on my porch.
I guess they've just been doing it for so long now that the process for getting new imagery up there must run like clockwork.
They definitely have it down faster than Apple does, because I told you like 6 months ago about how I was going to be in the Apple Maps Street View, and they still haven't uploaded that.
Okay. Quite a well-lit image from Google as well. Very nice. Well, they just got lucky on the day they drove past.
They drove by right at golden hour.
Was it really?
No.
It looks like it.
It was just... Yeah, it just happens to be fall, and it's kind of the color temperature of the day.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh, yeah, I remember what I was going to say. It took me a second. The last Street View at my address was like 10 years earlier. So I think I'm safe to be on Street View for like 10 years now, at least.
Oh, nice. Maybe they get a list of change of ownerships for houses, and they send the car to that street. And that's why they were there. They were like, David's moved in. Get the car in.
Gotta get the new owner at his house.
Yeah. Just to make sure the right car is out the front when that person goes to check in Street View.
Right. So, yeah, I do appreciate it, because the most recent Street View image of my house prior to this one, my house was painted a different color. It had like more trees in the front yard. So it looked like a very different house. And now it's up to date.
Very good. Do you wish to talk about the actual topic of the day?
I suppose we can.
It feels kind of dumb to say good morning at this point. Let's do it now, morning. And then I'm not sure what the term for photoshopping audio is. I'll Photoshop it to the start.
Okay.
I'll audition it to the start. Good morning.
Good morning.
Very good.
I had to lower my voice because my morning voice has worn off in the last hour. So it's going to be a weird transition.
Voice is slowly warmed up. Well considered. So the only bit of Apple news really in the last month is their new advanced user security, advanced data protections, a multi-faceted announcement, I suppose, with I guess 3 main features: iMessage contact key verification, security keys like hardware security keys to sign into Apple ID, and an advanced data protection, which I believe in layman's terms just gets rid of your secret questions for recovering your Apple ID. But correct me if I'm wrong. Or
advanced data protection encrypts everything, or almost everything in iCloud. So it adds encryptions for things like your photos and your messages backups and things like that. But as part of that, you have to have a registered account recovery backup person with your iCloud account, or you have to opt into the option where they give you like a 28 character code that you have to have like printed out and put in a safe somewhere that you can type in as a last ditch recovery effort.
So the situation is you need at least one of those methods to recover, but you can also have two. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use both, and I think you can have multiple recovery people registered if you want.
But the part that's leaving is what city were you born in, what's your dog's maiden name, etc.
Right, because Apple is, as part of this, is getting rid of their ability to get into your account at all. Like they're getting rid of their encryption key on their end, so it's fully encrypted on your side. And the only way in is one of those registered recovery options.
Okay.
So I'm hung up on this so far. I don't have I haven't enabled advanced data protection yet. I need to pick a good recovery person contact.
Mm-hmm. Elizabeth doesn't make a good contact.
Well, I don't fully know what the obligation is if you're a security contact, like what you're expected to do or know or have if I ever needed to fall back on something like that. Because the obvious answer is like something like my mom or dad, but they're not incredibly tech literate. And not that there's any indication of this in the future, but what if 5 years from now, my parents decide they want to switch to Androids for some reason?
Mm-hmm.
Their iPhones are their only Apple devices. Are they still useful as account recovery contacts at that point, or
probably only if they knew their own Apple ID details still?
Which my mom is okay about it. My dad has to have his password reset to iCloud frequently because he forgets.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how valuable of resources they would be. Maybe it'd be okay. Maybe it just sends them a text message and they have to click OK. I have no idea how this process works.
Maybe test it.
Yeah, set up a recovery person and then say I forgot my password or something.
Yeah, and then there must be like other ways to recover, because you can do this before you enable advanced data protection, so you can do it fairly risk-free. Well, and you won't have forgotten your password either, so there's that.
Yeah, that might be the way to go, at least to get more familiar with what it is, because I definitely don't trust myself to print out a key and not lose it.
No way. No.
So
I'd probably keep it like in the iCloud documents folder and be totally out of luck.
Right. I mean, I've got some secure files stored in 1Password, but 1Password has the same problem, where if I forget my 1Password, then it does not helping me.
Yeah. I have a password manager as well, and I can just imagine being in a loop where I needed to get into iCloud to be able to get into the password manager, or vice versa, and then just be also out of luck.
Right. Yeah, so you really need to have it kept physically somewhere, which seems like the least secure thing you could do. For this hypothetical situation where someone breaks into like my safe because they want to get access to my iCloud information for some reason. Obviously a nonsense scenario, but these are the things I worry about.
Well, I don't have to worry yet because it's a US only feature for now. Unlike the other two features, which will be available globally next year, so in 2023.
Advanced data protection is coming to more countries soon, right? Because I know on ATP they're just talking about how China's not going to like this when it comes out.
No, you're right, yeah. So everything is coming early 2023, but advanced data protection is already available in the US. Okay. Yeah, I read that. I didn't read that last bit of it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the only thing that seems like it could be something I would theoretically use. In fact, I have somewhat started the process of enabling advanced data protection because the very first step when you go to turn it on is it like gives you a list of every device that you have to either update to the latest operating system or remove from your iCloud entirely before you can enable it. And so it listed like half the iPhones on my display wall, which can't be updated to the latest operating system. So I just had to remove them from my iCloud. So I think what I'll have to do if I ever do want to do more with those phones, like set them up with, I don't know, I've always envisioned getting iPhones that are running like their launch operating system, and I've installed like a handful of like, these were the apps that were popular when this phone came out. Like here's Flappy Bird on the iPhone 5S or something.
Like time capsule phones.
Yeah. So if I ever want to do something like that, I'd have to make another Apple ID that doesn't use advanced data protection so I can continue installing stuff on those old phones.
Yeah, it might be handy. Maybe like a fake family member. Then they could still use your payment details if you needed it. And be a find my if anyone was to break in and steal all the display phones.
I wonder how well Find My works on some of those older phones.
Oh, without a SIM card, probably not at all. Once they've left your house.
Right, yeah. I mean, some of the newer phones have the, even if you turn them off, they're still pinging on other iPhones in the Find My network to keep tracking them.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a more modern thing. It's not going to help my iPhone 3G if someone steals that. Which, if someone steals my iPhone 3G, I hope they enjoy the $20. I'll just get another one.
Yeah. On that topic, do you want the Apple Watch Series 3 if I'm not wearing it?
No, it's your watch, James.
Yeah, but you're like, you've got the old watch display, surely, alongside the old phone display. Is there a missing spot where the Series 3 should be?
I actually don't have a watch display at all.
Okay.
I have no watches.
Okay.
So, there's no missing. Yeah. And you go through these cycles from time to time. We'll give you another few months and your watch will be back on your wrist.
How well you know me. It'll be mere weeks so I'll be wearing the watch again.
Maybe you won't. Maybe your next watch will just be an Ultra. You don't even bother getting the Series 3 back out.
I've started seeing Ultras in the wild. I saw one on Wajima, and I saw one today in the city. It really stood out. At first, I just saw the face of it. I thought, "Wow, that's like it's so bright. Is it actually a smartwatch, or is it just some style of mechanical watch?" And then it turned to the side slightly, and I instantly saw it was an Apple Watch Ultra, but it didn't look crazy big or anything. But I did notice the screen was very bright in full sunlight.
Yeah, I think it's like twice as bright as the standard Apple Watch.
Yeah.
I don't know. They definitely grow on me. Every time I see them, I think they look a little better.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the strap's very comfortable. I can attest to that.
All right. Well, do you have any more thoughts on this security stuff?
No, not really.
Okay. I'm anxious to hear about your computer.
Okay. How did I arrive at a PC? So yeah, as part of making videos, I have been recording in like F-Log, and to use F-Log, you kind of need to use 10-bit video, not 8-bit video. And to record 10-bit video, you need to be using HEVC, and without hardware decoding of HEVC, like doing that in software on my laptop was just so incredibly slow. Like, I think it was probably like 0.1x real time. Like, if it was a 1 minute video, it would take 10 minutes to decode it. Like, that kind of slowness. So I thought, all right, I need to fix this problem because this is kind of ridiculous. And also at the back of my mind for like, I think I've probably mentioned this over the year. I've kind of been thinking of getting a desktop computer instead of a laptop for a few reasons, but some performance related, some constraining computing to a desk related instead of having it roam around the house and, just boring stuff like that. And the studio was out of my price range, so I thought Mac Mini, and I was pretty dead set on getting a Mac Mini. Although I had in the back of my mind, look, M2's probably coming out next year, like probably early first half of next year. Maybe, although the Mac Mini cycles can like do some crazy things sometimes, but M2 Mac Mini probably next year. That didn't really put me off. But then I went to try and buy a Mac Mini, and it is incredibly hard unless you are happy with 8 gig of RAM, which there's no way in hell I could run 8 gig of RAM. But yeah, I just searched high and low, and there were no 16 gig Mac Minis anywhere to be purchased. So instead of, waiting a few weeks for one to come online, I was like, look, I need to sort this problem now, which is, we've talked about this before, like the instant gratification is sometimes what you need to make anything happen, to make the purchase happen. So I ended up just buying all the components for a Windows PC instead. And for the first time in quite a long time, I have a PC. And it's pretty bad. Like, Windows is pretty bad. I won't lie and say it's like, I mean, the hardware is just so much better than my MacBook Pro. 2015 MacBook Pro probably has like an Intel processor from like 2 years before that. So we're probably talking like a 10-year-old i7. This PC I've built is like so many generations ahead of it. And yet some things you do here and there, you're like, man, the Mac just does this so much better. The number of times I've had to restart this computer, not because like, I built it badly or there's weird driver bugs, but just because like, oh, you did Action X, that requires a restart. So you go and restart it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Unbelievable number of restarts. Couldn't even I couldn't even count them. And actually, as it happened, so in my MacBook Pro, I had an NVMe like with a little dodgy adapter as like a storage upgrade that I did a while ago. I kind of wanted that in the PC, and I wanted the original SSD that came with the MacBook back in the MacBook. So I did the install of Windows and the install of the Windows on the PC and the install of macOS on the laptop like on the same day. I don't think I've restarted the Mac since I did that, despite reinstalling every piece of software. Like nearly all the software is the same from PC to Mac, so I can switch between them if I need to. But I think I actually don't think I've restarted the Mac once, and the Windows probably a dozen times a day. It's ridiculous. Oh.
Man. This is the price you pay for being impatient.
It is absolutely the price I pay. It does have some perks though. Like, I'm not regretting doing this because like I can play computer games now, and I have been playing computer games, and my friends lent me their like steering wheel, and I've got the Oculus, the Quest 2 hooked up to it. Like none of that would even be possible with a Mac Mini. So no regrets. I'm quite happy to have this computer. But yeah, man, Windows got problems. People say Windows is like a wallpaper over a coat of paint, over a wallpaper over a coat of paint, and I knew that to be true, and I was still shocked about how many layers. Like Windows 11 is yet another layer of varnish over 10 layers of paint and wallpaper.
It's so funny how you can get into like the settings menu in Windows 11, and if you like dig down in enough layers of advanced menus, you get back to like Windows 95 UI in some places
yes,
still. And
literally the same thing you had in 95, maybe even 3.1. My latest favorite is the right-click menu has been polished to this new right-click menu, but at the bottom is an option that says show more options, and it opens the old right-click menu. How insane is that? All the stuff you need is
almost
2 clicks deep now.
Yeah, exactly. As I say, I almost always need the more options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless it's like a copy or paste. Nothing else useful is in there.
Uh-huh. Oh, man.
Crazy.
Yep.
Oh, also, all the other fun stuff you get with Windows, for example, already spent at least 30 minutes troubleshooting why won't my computer go to sleep after the timer. Classic. I remember this stuff from like Windows XP back in 2002, and it's still the same thing. Like this OS is 3 days old, and I'm already troubleshooting why it won't go to sleep. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, what else do I have to say? Yeah, I guess one of the reasons why I got rid of the gaming PC back in the day, so I was already like using Mac day to day, but had the gaming PC on the side, is that it's such a time sink, and nothing about that has changed as well, because just minutes before this podcast, I had the side off the computer, and I was like unplugging the noisy fans and researching like what are the quiet fans I can get, and it's like that has been just an endless thing I now do since getting the computer. I'm sure it'll settle down, but in past experience, it is a thing that continues throughout the ownership life of a Windows PC.
I've heard this phrase used specifically for boat owners, but I feel like it applies to my experience with PCs as well. The happiest days of a PC owner's life is the day they get their PC and the day they get rid of the PC.
Sounds exactly right.
Because at least my favorite part of building a PC is building the PC. It's getting to spend the time deciding on the best parts that I want to put together and making a shopping list, and then the time I spend assembling it, and then as soon as I have to install Windows, I'm over it.
Yeah. That's enough. Yeah. You get to the ugly bit after that. Yeah.
So what are the specs of your new PC?
I mean, it's not incredibly high spec, but I think it would probably perform fairly close to an M1 Mac Mini, possibly. But it's just a Ryzen 5 something. It's an NVIDIA 3060 something. What other specs matter? I've got like an NVMe stuck on the motherboard. That's a new thing I've never done before. Also SSDs for storage, and another WD Black for large storage.
Okay.
All that matters to me is that all that matters now is that it rips through these video files like they are nothing, like they're just a sheet of paper. That analogy doesn't make sense, but something that would have taken my MacBook Pro a day to process is now like a 10-minute job. So it was mission accomplished at the end of the project. Well, it's not really the end of the project, but at this point of the project.
It's going to be a never-ending project.
Yeah, then at this point of the never-ending project, I have achieved what I wanted to. But my shopping basket is also full of things to do to the computer.
Just go with one of those like all-in-one coolers that's like a liquid cooler. That'll be much quieter.
Oh yeah, I've never done liquid cooling before. I have bought expensive quiet fans in the past from Noctua.
Yep, Noctua makes good fans.
Mm-hmm. Graphics fans I've never touched before. I don't know if you can make them quiet, although they're not particularly loud at idle.
I'm sure you can, but I don't know that I would trust myself to be pulling apart a graphics card to put new fans on it.
No, considering the graphics card was like 80% of the cost of this computer, I'm hands off. So. Yeah, I can't believe it. Probably a low mid-tier graphics card was 80% of the cost of the computer. It's just blew my mind.
But it's all these crypto miners are inflating the cost of GPUs.
Yeah, I thought the industry went bankrupt though.
For the most part, I think the general mining of cryptocurrency is still happening in large server farms
on GPUs.
Yeah.
Okay. One other thing. The biggest hassle I found of interoperability, I suppose, having two computers and wanting to use them both, is the whole passwords thing. But just mere minutes before we started recording, I discovered that you can actually get Apple Keychain on Windows. Who knew that was a thing?
Sure can. I'm aware it exists, but it's not something I've tried to use, so I don't know if it's any good or not.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's not, but I mean, anything's going to be better than nothing. Trying to like copy out these crazy keychain passwords off another screen by hand.
One of the features, and I think the most recent release, or one of the most recent releases of Windows 11, is like your iCloud photo library is built like more directly into the operating system. Like you have the ability to integrate with iCloud directly and have it sync to your photos folder or something. I don't know any more about it than that. I just know that it got more support recently.
I will have to look into that because iCloud Photos is still a problem in my life.
Here we go. Windows 11 makes it easier to connect your iCloud photos right into the Photos app. I don't know what that is, but
Photos app. That sounds bad. All the apps that come with Windows are bad.
Right. Yeah. I just got Windows 11 installed recently. It was a big process because Windows 11 has like it has higher security requirements in general, which my computer meets all the requirements for what Windows 11 needs to run, but it also has like an allowed list of CPUs that it works with. Uh-huh. And my CPU, even though it has all of the required features, is not on the list. It's a Ryzen 1800X, which it's just old. My computer was maybe we even talked about it when I built it. It was state of the art and the best you could get in like 2016 when I built it. So it had the highest end Ryzen processor and the best. Well, I had an NVIDIA 1080 Ti in it. And it's lasted me for 5 years. Like it still works just fine as a gaming computer that I barely use. But it wouldn't let me install Windows 11, at least as like an upgrade from Windows 10. But if I put the installer on like a flash drive and completely reformatted my SSD, I could boot from the flash drive and install Windows 11 that way, kind of force it onto the computer.
Oh, gross.
So I've done that.
Yeah, annoying. There are just these little like steps that make Windows 11 annoying. Another one that I had was like the first launch experience just got to a screen. It was like, you're not plugged into Ethernet. You've got no Wi-Fi drivers. Like you can't go past this step without a network connection. And
really?
Like there's no way to install a driver at that point. And I haven't had an Ethernet cable in the house for a long time. And then of course it's like, do this, techgeek.com, whatever's, do this little thing. It brings up the command prompt, and then you can type in this little command that gets you past that step. What does the average person do? I suppose that, or buys a computer off the shelf which already has the drivers installed.
Yeah. So the average person probably isn't building their own computer, so they don't have that issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just lots of little details like that where you can really see how Windows is not quite as friendly as Mac OS.
I think it lets you do more, but with a tons of headache hanging off the side.
So, yeah, I just want my computer to work when I set it up. That's like when I was building this PC all those years ago. My brother is really into building computers, and he was over tinkering in the BIOS, like, we can overclock your RAM and we can get your 1% more performance out of your GPU by doing this. And I was like, just don't touch anything. I just want it to work and never have to touch any of it again. So I don't care if it's slower than it potentially could be if I'd never have to mess in the BIOS again.
Funny you should mention that, but I bought like 3200 RAM, and when the first time the computer booted it, I noticed it was running at 2133 megahertz. So I do a bit of Googling, RAM not running at 3200. It's like, oh, you got to go into the BIOS. You got to enable like this extended memory profile, some basic steps. So, quick reboot again for like the 8th time that day. Change it, turn on this extended memory profile, follow the instructions to the T, reboot, and suddenly I'm in this like BIOS screen from 1995 that's got like the AMI Megatrends logo on the top and like the shooting star, and it's like, you are now in BIOS safe mode. Like, what the hell is BIOS safe mode? I've never seen this before. Press F1 to go, to restore BIOS defaults, and it gets me back to 2133 megahertz RAM and all that fun. And eventually I discovered, for unknown reasons at this point, that this RAM will run at only 3000, not 3200 on this motherboard, but whatever. It's running faster than it was. Maybe not to its full potential though. But yeah, there goes that 60 minutes down the drain. And add that on.
That is the one thing that I would justify spending time on. I'm talking a little bit out of the side of I don't know. My brother knows more about this, but my understanding of the Ryzen chips is that the bus speed of your CPU is determined entirely by the speed of your RAM. So you're actually slowing down your CPU if you don't have your RAM speed.
Oh, interesting.
At what it could be as well. So there is definitely some slightly more tangible benefit to upping your RAM speed than even just faster RAM.
All right. Well, that sounds like I should spend more time looking into it then.
Yeah, you can research and realize that I have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I think I did come across something to that effect today on one of the bazillion search results I found.
My crazy Windows issue, which is not my gaming PC, but my work laptop. My work laptop is like a ThinkPad plugged into a Thunderbolt 3 dock that all my accessories are then plugged into. And whenever my work computer goes to sleep, the screen goes off, it continuously, over and over and over again, plays the USB disconnecting noise.
Oh, lovely.
Until I unplug the dock.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot get that to stop. So I just have to unplug the dock every time I walk away from my computer if I don't want the boodaloot, boodaloot, boodaloot.
Could you just mute the speakers?
Maybe? I don't know. I'm sure there probably is a way to turn off the volume.
Mm.
I just didn't know if system sounds are continued part of the same.
I bet there's a Windows 95 looking system sounds thing where you can just disable the USB disconnect noises.
There you go. Yeah. So I would like to come to the root cause of why the USB device is disconnecting over and over again. But I guess if I just silence it, then that's a solution too.
Yep. If a USB device connects in the forest and no one hears it, did it really connect? Well, I think that's a show.
I think so.
I'm James VDM on Reddit and I don't use Twitter or Instagram anymore. I'm James VDM on Reddit.
I'm Jellywoot on Reddit and D3 codes at mass.to on Mastodon.
Nice. And the show notes are at reddit.com/r/bluebubblepod.
But the show still has a Twitter account, and that is twitter.com/bluebubblepod. That's where the post will be made for you to enter into our 5-year anniversary raffle. Mm-hmm. So do go there to comment and share the show tweet once that goes up, and then same on Reddit, and send us an Anchor voice message for 3 entries.
Mm-hmm. Nicely said.
Mm-hmm. You gotta get on Mastodon, James.
Do I? I do have a Mastodon, but I don't go on Mastodon.
Oh, do you really? I tried looking you up. It's so that is the one thing, is the federated servers. It's hard to find someone unless you know exactly where to find them.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't know anything about this service except that I'm on mastodon.social as James VDM.
Okay, that's the popular one that everyone seems to have been hopping in on, Mastodon.social. I think that is like it's run by the official Mastodon people.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely has more skin in the game than some of these other independently hosted servers.
Okay.
I got in a little too early, I feel like, and I was not aware of that. And I saw mass.to. I'm like, that's a good general server. That's like, because a lot of them are like crafters.pizza or something more specific.
Mm-hmm. That's very specific.
So I went with mass.to. But there is an option to migrate to different servers if I ever needed to.
So if I go home, it's just empty, so I guess I'm not following anyone. If I click on Federated, it's just like a wall of constantly updating tweets that never stops. Is it supposed to stop?
Like you're saying it's just scrolling indefinitely?
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't do that for me.
Huh.
Oh, I found you. All right, here you go. You're going to receive a follow request. You don't even have a profile picture.
Just got it.
You've been on Mastodon since 2018. Look at you.
Oh, wow. Look at me. 2 followers, David Freeman and Will Bishop. I wonder how Will found me.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I've got a pretty good curated Mastodon feed. I went through my Twitter followers list and searched for the people that I cared about that I was following. There's a lot of junk accounts like celebrities or brands that I've followed over the years that I really don't care to be following anymore anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And now I have a very nice curated Mastodon feed.
Okay.
It works good.
Can I steal it somehow?
Can you steal what?
Your feed. Your list.
If you go to my following, you can see who I'm following and follow them.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Lots of people you'll...
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's
I know
a handful
all
of
these
people in
names.
there I'm sure that you'll care about. Yeah. So, it's pretty good. Especially once the Ivory app comes out, which is the Tweetbot people. It's in beta right now, but hopefully it'll be coming out soon.
Okay. Did you have your avatar specifically drawn for Mastodon?
Oh, no. I did the AI generated avatar thing.
Oh, nice.
I've got a whole... I shared some of them on Instagram, but if you're not on Instagram anymore?
Well, I just don't check it anymore.
Okay. I shared some of my favorites on Instagram that this AI made for me. I think I used Lensa, is a popular app. And I uploaded like 10 pictures of me, and that generated me 100 avatars from those 10 pictures. I'll throw a couple in the
the
chat so you can... Yeah, you got it. So it's pretty neat. It was like $6, and some of them are really bad. I'll put some of the bad ones in chat for you to see.
You definitely chose one of the best ones.
Yeah, I agree. Most of them are not good. I've got crossed eyes in a lot of them for some reason.
Huh. Wait, has no one ever told you?
Oh no.
Oh yeah, that one looks nothing like you.
Yeah. I also made the mistake of uploading or selecting photos that were... Some of them I had like my Steve Jobs glasses on, and some of them I didn't have glasses. And so it didn't know what to do with that. And maybe it's just because of the glasses I was wearing, because they're rimless glasses. So I just have like a hint of glasses in a few of these pictures.
Like the Doctor Who looking one? Looks like a real mess.
Yeah. Like some of them is just like you've got like something on your nose, but nothing else, because that's all it knew about my glasses. But anyway, it's fun to play with.
What is that Bruce Lee one doing? It's so weird. Makes me uncomfortable to look at it.
I don't know. Yeah. Most of them were not good, but yeah, I posted the handful of good ones on Instagram. So
yeah.